Their representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed are greater than the legal services provided by other lawyers. You've reached the Backstory Podcast. I'm Harry Steele. This is a special edition of the Backstory Podcast. We are interviewing mayoral candidates today. And would you introduce yourself, young lady?
I will. I'm Selena Vaughn. I live in Daphne, and I'm running for mayor of Daphne.
All right. So we got your name. So tell us where you live in Daphne, generally, not a street address, but
I live in Lake Forest, which represents about a third of the homes and the third of the population for, maybe half the population for the city of Daphne. Huge place.
Yes, ma'am. So it's my understanding you were on the Daphne Utility Board for a while. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm actually about halfway through. I'm 3 years into a 6-year appointment. So I'm one of 3 citizens that serve on this board. So you basically have 2 elected officials, a council person that usually rotates off every year. The mayor sits on this board, and then these 3 citizens that we're there to watch on behalf of the community of what's happening. And I love this board. I never would have considered applying for this. I had a council person call me because I've been involved with the city for a long time and said they had an opening and would I consider it. And man, have I learned a lot. Everything you never wanted to know about wastewater and aquifers.
I'll promise you. So let me ask you this. The Baykeeper people have been on our program before, and they point to Daphne Utilities as having a problem. And I guess it's when it rains, so you're having stormwater infiltration of your collection system, which is causing overflows from time to time. Is it a funding problem or is it a design problem of the system itself?
I'm glad you asked about that because, you get one, you can have one incident and have a perception out there. Nobody ever follows up with a news story about how great you're doing since that one. Of course, I feel sorry for Fairhope, and I hear a lot of things about Mobile and Pritchard too, and no one ever follows up to hear what you're doing to make things better. Only the spills make the news. But I want to say that I had a baptism by fire when I joined the Daphne Utilities Board. That's when this incident you're talking about happened.
Right.
Basically just had some employees who were in charge of some maintenance of equipment down at that wastewater treatment that the maintenance just wasn't being done. And then we had the perfect storm, literally. We had one of those heavy events where an untold amount of stormwater came, the power went out, the generators went out. And we had a lightning strike that took out our backup generator. And this all happened at night when there was nobody on site. So the very first thing we did that very next morning was put together a calendar to have people down there 24/7. But when we started doing the forensics on what went wrong besides the storm, we realized we had people who weren't taking care of the equipment we had. We have the good equipment, we have the capacity, but it wasn't being maintained. So we now have new people there and everything is working just great. Really, I have a lot of confidence. Believe me, as a citizen, I would never stand for substandard or there was never any kind of cover up. I mean, citizens, the 3 of us on this board would never allow such a thing.
I wouldn't think so. So let's talk about your vision for the city. Zoning, economic development. You've obviously been on the utility board. Have you served in the Chamber of Commerce in any kind of capacity?
I've been involved with the city of Daphne for about 14 years as a full-time volunteer. And I serve on several different committees and boards, and a private board that I serve on is the Village Point Foundation. And that group was started in the mid-90s because they realized that the only public access to Bayfront in Daphne was Mayday Park. And Mayday Park, what exists now, is only a fraction of what it was historically 100 years ago.
Right.
That was just unacceptable. And so we have been working for many years trying to get more access, trying to improve the access that we have. And part of my vision for Daphne is to reclaim Hamburger Hill. You know, when you get off of I-10 and you're headed south on the 98, we have a lot of derelict businesses and things on the bay side, but we can do so much better with things like lighting and signage and just the entire, even the drainage on the sides of the road there. We have so much opportunity. We really have opportunity. And one of the visions that I have been presenting on behalf of Village Point to the council for years and years is we have a comprehensive plan that would address all the way from I-10 south down to Village Point Park Preserve, where we would have a string of scenic overlooks, some boardwalks and sidewalks that would go in and out between the businesses and along the bay. I mean, I think that is one of our most overlooked greatest assets. And what that would do for the quality of life in Daphne and for the economy, it would just be fantastic. And compared to what they've been spending on things like that sportsplex, when you're talking about 40 and 50 and 60 million dollars, they're doing it in phases. Just a fraction of that kind of money would completely change the face of Daphne if it was applied to this area I'm talking about.
Well, you've got a convalescent home down on one of the most prime pieces of property.
Right.
I mean, Daphne's never done a very good job of taking advantage of their natural resources. All right, so let's talk about personnel issues. A lot of times people run on say, I'm gonna get rid of the chief of police, or I'm gonna get rid of are you running on any kind of platform like that, or you're just wanting to get in there and do some good?
I tell you, I think that we have some great people. We have some great department heads. We have some great personnel. I don't think that they have been used to their fullest potential. And I think that we have some process issues. We just need it to run smoother, and we need to encourage the people that we've got to participate. I think they get bypassed a lot by politics. So no, I don't think we need to run anybody off. I think we need to take advantage of the great people we have.
Yes, ma'am. So one more time, of course, I'm a mayoral candidate up in Bay Minette, and I haven't really talked about this yet, but I'm a big proponent of the council manager form of government. Mm-hmm. And, Fairhope had a vote a few years ago to change their form of government, and it was defeated. I was just wondering if you thought any about hiring yourself as city administrator at minimum, somebody with some experience to help you get in there, and somebody who knows how an organization like the city of Daphne should be run professionally.
Yes. Well, first of all, yes, we do. We have a city operations person. We have some high up administration people that are actually very, very good. But I'll tell you, talking about the council manager, several years back, this goes back to after Harry Brown, when they changed it to a weak mayor, strong council form of government. We had several mayors who, of course, come forward. They own businesses, and the first thing that happens is that this is a full-time job. And here, if you're trying to run a business and be mayor, it has come up multiple times that maybe we should have a city manager. The only issue I really have with that is that I like the fact that the mayor answers to the voters, and the city managers don't. So with the size of city that Daphne is, I think we do need some very strong department heads that can almost run it. Because just think of this: every 4 years they get a new boss, new council, new mayor. I mean, you have to have a city that can almost run itself, and then the mayor and the council are sort of these rudders.
Exactly. They come in and they make policy.
Right. So
the mayor was never meant to. The mayor, in my opinion, was never meant to have the responsibilities of, like Mayor Woodfin up in Birmingham. I mean, they had no idea what that mayoral position would one day turn into.
And I think,
can you imagine?
Yeah, I think of it like this: every 4 years, we have an opportunity in the city of Daphne for 8 citizens to step forward and bring to the table their interests and their concerns and serve the community. So we have 7 council people and a mayor. And that should not be a career for anybody. That is an opportunity for citizens to participate.
I agree with that. So you're making a commitment to 2 terms at most?
Yeah. It's not a career. You know, other people need to get involved. And I feel that way too about all of the committees and boards that I've served on. One of the biggest things is not just serving yourself, but we're constantly looking, trying to get more people to interact. And I know that a lot of people have families and jobs, and they haven't had the blessed life I've had in order to be able to put so much time into the community.
So let's talk about that real quick. What are your obligations? And do you still work? What was your career?
Yeah, I worked in advertising and public relations. I worked in an ad agency. Most recently, the one I retired from at age 40 was Lewis Communications in Mobile. And at the time, they were the largest ad agency in the state of Alabama. And since then, I've just worked full time in my community, and from everything from the Baldwin County Master Gardeners to the Daphne Women's Study Club.
We need to talk after this interview.
Oh, yeah. And
poor souls around my house. I need some advice.
And I've just attended a lot of meetings. You know, some people who actually do come to the council meeting, let me tell you, by the time they get to the council meeting, they've made their decisions. It's great to have public participation and let people line the walls and say what they want to say. But if you really want to know how the sausage is made, you go to the public works meetings, the subcommittee meetings, the buildings and property meetings. So just participating in all of those, all of these years is part of the reason that I have such a fire lit in me now to really get involved at another level.
So just so you know, my grandmother is, I think, one of the oldest residents in Daphne. She's 98. She lives on Bay Hill Drive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't quite have her proxy. She's still got all her marbles, but she likes me to let her know what's going on. So I will stay in touch one way or the other.
Hey, one of my greatest supporters, you wouldn't believe how much she's doing for me, is fixing to turn 92. So, oh yeah. And listen, that older demographic, they stay on top of things and they vote.
She was real upset when the paper quit coming every day. I can tell you that much. She read it cover to cover. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you would like to let us know, some reason that should put you over the top as opposed to any of your other candidates?
Well, yeah, I tell you, the reason people run is because they think they look at who else is running. And I mean, I'm not the only one. You look at who else is running and you say, I think we can do better than that. So while personally, I have nothing against anyone else running. I'm not crazy about the way the city has handled some things and some processes we have skipped, such as just the other day, the council approved for some engineering and some permitting work that we could have done in the city ourselves. And we are paying big money to engineers. And we also have plans like some of the parks that have been recently done that did not go through the vetting process and the approval process that we'd send public plans through. And so things go over budget, things get mismanaged. And then also one of Mr. Carey, although I'm sure he's a fine human being, I'm just fundamentally against spending. It's the DISC project that he's been a part of.
Yes,
all of the tax dollars and the grant money gone to this construction for. I just don't think taxpayers should be building something trying to attract business. We don't have any problem having business, and I understand that we're trying to attract a different kind of business and some tech jobs for the community. But when did government get involved in speculative construction, millions and millions?
So let me give you a little path to walk down. Go check out Section 94 and 95 of the Constitution of Alabama of 1901. They both speak to the prohibition of the government lending its credit to private entities. Okay.
Right.
And it came out of the strangulated counties of the 1860s when all the counties bought railroad bonds and then went broke. So it's been on the books for a long time, and there's a reason for that. And I would be very interested to see when they borrowed the money to do this project, how they address that, because they had to have in their the bond documents. So
Well,
you might want to check that out if you're serious about getting to the bottom of it.
right.
All right. Well, I will. I certainly appreciate you coming on with us. Mr. Rip apologizes. He has been dispatched to collect a rug. I kid you not. So you got stuck with the amateur hour. I'm very sorry about that, but we will get this up as quick as we can, and we certainly wish you well and thank you for your time.
So excited. Thank you very much for the opportunity.